Hello everyone, this is Dan Gramza and welcome to Gramza Market Studies for Tuesday, February 28th. We had S&P downgrading Greece, and we also had some positive news in the U.S. in terms of housing. And so we're seeing the impact of that across the board here. A little bouncy in the NASDAQ market as we see buyers coming back in this market. And again, just to give you a quick overview, shadows on the bottom, these white lines on the bottom, from my point of view, this is not a standard way of looking at this, represents buyers. The white lines you see on the top represent sellers. A green box represents buying and a red box represents selling. Here we saw a market back off, and now we have closed above the magic 2600. It was not an enthusiastic kind of close, and as I discussed in the advanced video, that there's some caution here when we see this kind of action in terms of what it can reveal. But we are looking for follow through to the upside. We're also seeing the impact of that news that came out for Greece on these currencies and what it represents for the euro, Swiss franc, Japanese yen, Aussie dollar, British pound, and the Canadian dollar. It represents capital flowing towards the US dollar, except for the Aussie dollar, I should say. Capital flowing towards the US dollar. Times of uncertainty, we see that. The market's going to absorb that information. My feeling is that today my outlook is bullish across the board for these currencies. When it comes to interest rates, well, if you have uncertainty in the stock market, you're going to see that capital flowing towards interest rates. So the 10-year notes, 30-year bonds, we see those up moves, and that's the result of that uncertainty. We're not looking for that to continue. In gold, this market did trade back down through what I consider a sell level. And again, what I'm going to tell you is only for your reference. I'm not suggesting that anyone should do this. Just the idea is to give you an idea of how someone would identify and or try to manage a trade. That would be the concept. So what you're looking at is my analysis, and I'm not suggesting again that you should do this. But the difference between this market traded below that red line, which would create a sell position, which would close out a long position from this green line, and that would represent $32. Now the monetary value of that would be $3,200 per contract. $3,200 is the dollar value of that. I also want to point out to you that if someone would have also initiated the short position, which would be the concept here, it also failed. It would have reached a magnitude objective in terms of risk. So we have this market would have lost money, is what I should be saying here. So that failed. A short position would have failed. We're not looking for a dramatic move down. In fact, we are looking for buyers to return to gold in today's session. If we look at energy, crude oil backed off a bit, but what else do we know? We know that the US dollar got stronger, and as you and I have talked about, that's one of the things that has an impact on this particular market. Now, it did trade back through that sell level, and the difference between the green line and the red line there, the dollar difference, this trades in dollars and cents, would be $7.36. That's what you're looking at. Now in crude oil, you have a couple different trading choices. If you look at the full-size contract, which is what this represents, but the full-size contract, that difference in dollars and cents would be $7,360. In the mini contract, which is a smaller contract, that difference here would represent $2,944. And again, the intent is just to give you a feel for how this is unfolded. And what are we looking for? Well, it depends on what that US dollar does, and we're looking for this market to firm up a bit. It's also up here because of the uncertainty that we've talked about before. I've been mentioning to you that I'm bullish on the grains, and that February and March are going to be important months. As I was talking about in the advanced video, there's some critical things coming up here, and we can see beans continues its march to the upside. Well, and we're looking for more of that kind of action, kind of a rest day today. That concludes today's market studies. Thank you for joining me, and I'm looking forward to being with you again. And in the meantime, take care.